melt is when I'm ocean waves.
Today on Racing Legends podcast, I have Skyler Spanabel, a jockey who rides at Delaware, Tampa, and now Gulfstream Park, and a very, very hot bug rider, and is settled in nicely and is having a really good journeyman career. Skyler, nice to meet you. Thanks for doing this.
Hi, nice to meet you too. Thank you for having me on.
Oh, of course. So, well, just to give your bio for folks who may not know you, you're the daughter of Kelly Spanabel, and she was a rider. She won 216 races. She also trains horses now. Your father, George Iacovacci, is that right? Or
Right.
oh, good. He was a trainer. He put you on your first winner at Hazel Park. God, I knew Wayne Barnett used to ride there. I don't know if you knew Wayne. Yeah, he was a local.
Wayne's a cool guy.
He is. He was a local legend here. We got to talk about Wayne. And then you grew up. I mean, you came up the hard way. You were a hot walker, a pony rider, exercise rider. I mean, you learned from the bottom up. You've got $1.6 million in purses, and so I guess first of all, I wanted to ask you. I know you recently moved your book to Gulfstream. Is that a permanent move, or are you just coming down here until Tampa Bay opens up?
I will only be at Gulfstream until Tampa opens, but then I'm planning to come back to Gulfstream next summer.
Okay, so you're finished with Delaware Park?
Yeah, for the time being, I go to school down here in Florida now, so I have to be in Florida full time.
Okay, what kind of school are you going to?
I'm getting my bachelor's degree in nursing.
Oh, that's great. Wow, well, you're going to be a busy person, but I guess with jockeys, you can be as busy as you want to. I mean, I guess you can take some time off if you really need to. It's not great for business, but I guess you could probably work out a schedule and make both work.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, well, let's talk about how you got started in racing. I know we're Facebook friends, and I remember seeing pictures of you running track. So you were a track star in high school. So how did you get started in track?
My mom used to run track. I follow a lot in my mom's footsteps, as you can see. My mom used to run track, and she was an amazing distance runner. I never made it the distance. I was mid-distance, but I just really loved running, and I wanted to try it. I tried it in middle school, and I broke a track record, and so I was like, oh, I got to keep going, and I continued through my whole career of high school, and it was amazing. I have a couple records, and I'm a couple in the top 5 for a couple events and stuff. So it was an amazing run, literally.
Wow. Is your first love track and field or horse racing?
Horse racing.
Oh, it is. Okay. So even if you would have been kept developing in track, you would eventually came back to the racetrack.
Yeah, I think I would have. I loved running and it was great, but the horses they always called me, and I think I really did running because I loved it, and it was a great mental challenge, and I like being mentally challenged in everything I do that strive to think outside the box and think ahead of competitors. But I love to race. I'll race anything. Dirt bikes, cars, running, horses. Racing. It's just in my blood.
When you're whipping the horse and the horse is getting tired, do you think back to your track and field days when you were getting tired in the last 50 yards? Are there some parallels between track and field and horse racing?
Oh, definitely. I think about every time that I ride, I think about the horse because I know what they're going through in a way from having to run, and I always compare them with my track career because I know as an athlete you have to get over it mentally and you have to push and you have to go, but your body is tired, and sometimes these horses are just tired, and I can accept it, and I try not to beat them up if they don't need to be. But if they're young or if they are running still, they're not going to get the best position, I always try to ride them through the wire at least, because I was taught in track the finish line is not the finish line. It's 50 yards past the finish line. That's the finish line. You run through the wire.
Yeah.
So I always ride my horses through the wire. no matter what place they're in. So they learn. They have to run through the wire. They cannot stop at the eighth pole or the quarter pole.
Yeah. So, well, if I love track and field, and like you, and I think a lot of race fans are like that. I watch bicycle racing. I watch car racing. I love it all, and I see parallels in all of it. Being in track, did you you're a natural lightweight? I would think a middle distance runner, they're usually very light.
Yeah.
So weight's not a problem with you as a jockey?
No, weight isn't an issue. I try to work out a lot and eat a lot of high protein diet if I can. So that way I can try to gain weight and keep weight on and stuff because I'm fairly short. So it I'm not that big. I'm just built small and I'm trying to use that as an advantage to gain muscle. And it's taken some factors and I'm trying to figure it out, but it doesn't really affect me that much. I have put on a lot more weight now since I've coming back from my injury and I've been stronger and I've been changing things like my workout routine and everything. I've changed it since I had my accident and I've made my comeback and it's working. I'm on the upswing right now. So
Yeah, you're doing great. You won a great race yesterday.
thank you.
Yeah. Well, you hear a lot in racing about female riders aren't as strong as male riders. Me and Forrest talked about this, and I found over time it's a little overblown because the tactics of a race, knowing the horse, there's so many aspects of riding. Strength is one aspect, but it's not
Mhm.
the whole game. Do you think being a track athlete has helped you narrow that gap in strength that a male athlete could possibly have over you?
I think just like you said, there's a lot of aspects when it comes to riding a horse, and strength is one of them, but it's not the most important one because if you think about it, you're never going to outstrengthen that horse. You pushing on them is never really going to push them that much more. You have to set them up for the best ability to win. You have to have the confidence in them, navigate them between horses, know what they like and don't like. Some horses don't like being on the inside or the outside, dirt in their face. They like to run on the front, they like to close. You have to know the riders that are in the race with you. You have to know the horses that you're running against. It's just so many more factors and I think that in the end, if you have the best horse, then you're going to win the race. And you can look, everybody's always saying that some of these riders look stronger and stronger than others, and they do. And then other times, it's you watch them, and if you really pay attention to them riding, they're over pushing on the horse. They're not in stride with the horse. When the horse's neck is going down, they're not extended out. They're pulling back because they're just pumping too hard and they're out of rhythm with the
Yeah.
horse.
Yeah.
You got to catch the rhythm and the flow and the stride and the momentum of the horse and just knowing how to move with them instead of against them.
No, I can definitely see that. You can see when a jockey and horse are in sync. It's beautiful to watch. In
Yeah.
France, in non-stakes races, women get a weight break. Women jockeys get a weight break. I think it's only 3 pounds. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but they do get a break. It has helped more women get opportunities because because of this perception of
Mhm.
strength, which I mean, obviously in America, we have a lot of successful women, female riders, Andrea Seafelt, Forrest in the Mid Atlantic, yourself. I mean, there's so many, Julie Crone.
Mhm.
But would you like to see that implemented in America where female riders got a weight break?
Um, some days on my hardest days, I think about that and I'm like, man, I wish I could have my bug again. The weight, like everybody wanted to use me and everything, but um it would be great for, some riders, but I personally I wouldn't change the way it is now. I know it's tough and I know it's really hard for women and stuff, but it's it's more promising and rewarding knowing that you succeeded carrying the same weight as them with the same advantage they had and everything. sometimes you're at more of a disadvantage on a long shot and stuff. It's more rewarding to know that you did it and no one was able to hold that over you. Oh, well, you won because you had 5 pounds. You won because you had 3 pounds or 10 pounds or whatever.
Mm.
You know, it's like, no, we're all equal. And I won because rode a better race. You know, it wouldn't feel, I feel like it would become a thing where maybe trainers would ride us more, but also I feel like the men they would feel at a little bit of a disadvantage. They would, because when someone has a bug, it's different. They're learning, they don't know as much, and they eventually lose it, and then it's equal for everybody.
Yeah. And we
You
have to
know,
say
if
that.
the women
I'm sorry, go ahead.
have the 10, sorry,
No,
if
you go
they
ahead.
have
You
the
first.
10 and then they go to 7 and then they go to 5 and then they go to 3 and they never get rid of the 3, I think it just wouldn't be fair. I think this sport, the way it is now, I know it's the sport of kings, but it's got to be, I feel like this is one of those sports that has to be equal for everybody, and everybody has to work for what they get, because it's not easy.
Yeah.
You know?
I think maybe other than auto racing, which I'm not sure is a sport, I think it's one of the only sports where females compete against men.
Yeah.
I think it maybe equestrian, I guess they do as well, but it's another
Mm.
horse sport. But well, let's talk a little bit about your mentors in the game. I mean, obviously, your mother was a rider. I read that Ronnie Houghton had an impact on you as well. He was an outrider and a jockey as well. So, talk about your mother, what you learned from your mother, and also some of your other mentors and role models that you've had in horse racing.
Okay. Well, my mother, she was the one who showed me it in the first place, and I always looked up to her, and I always wanted to follow in her footsteps. I was just amazed at how strong she was. And I think she taught me the mentality of, if that true cowboy mentality, that if you get down, you got to get back up. You have to get back on that horse. Because, I mean, she, time and time again, has gotten on horses and no one else would ride. She's gotten results out of them. She's fearless when she's on them. And she just is so brave. And she knows when she gets on the horse what she's doing, how to get the horse to react in a better way when that horse might be flipping on everybody, but on her, she's quiet and the horse doesn't flip for her. And if it does, she gets back up and she doesn't let it win. She gets back on and tells it, no, let's go, and that I took from her. And I think that is the whole reason that I've been able to get back up from every injury I've had, because I've watched her get back up and just keep going. And it's like, it's everything, because you have every reason to stop. And I never want to. I'm like, no, like this is what I love. I have to keep going. I have to keep pushing. You have to fight for what you want.
Yeah.
And I feel like if I didn't grow up with her showing me all that, I'm not saying I wouldn't have continued or anything, but it would have been a lot more difficult to understand all of the times that you go through hard stuff, showing you how to be a better person. Because I've become one of, like, I get along with a lot of horses that people don't get along with. They run off, they don't run off for me. They flip, they don't flip for me. I mean, I've learned to be quiet and just connect with the horses.
I've actually noticed over time that's the case with lots of female riders, because they can't necessarily do it with strength. They have to do it, within the horse's parameters as well. They have to kind of adapt to what the horse wants to do, and I think the horses appreciate that. And you seem to,
Yeah.
Andrea Seefeld talked about that as well. She could get along with the nasty ones sometimes, and she had some success with those. So
Yeah, like you just learn to have quiet hands, and the horses, they really respond to that and stuff. And then really quick, just to talk about Ronnie, because he was a big influence. He taught me everything on form and just like the riding the smart race and staying down. And I talked to his son Terry a lot, and between the both of them, just that you do it, and you do it with style, and you do it and you do it right, and you do it the correct way. Don't just do it how everyone else is doing it. They're like, stay down, ride past the wire, look nice, look good in your photos, be professional, be the correct way to hit and stuff, instead of, some people have different ways to hit, and there's nothing wrong with that, but just the way that I should hit. They really gave me the muscle memory that I needed to look the way I do on the horses. And then the brains, and the same thing with my mom. But between the three of them, when it comes to that aspect, every one of them taught me a different view of how to ride a race. They all gave me the pointers for everything inside, going outside, patience, calm. And the best thing about it is when my mom and Ronnie were setting up to talk about me riding and everything, like you said, I had to start from the bottom. And they both agreed if I was going to do this, I had to start from the bottom. I wasn't just going to go straight into riding. I had to do everything on the ground. And then I had to pony. I had to pony for a couple years because they wanted me to experience what it was like to do that job so I could respect the pony people when I went out there. And I interned with Ronnie. When I was on the pony in the mornings, I'd go around with him as he's the outrider to learn to respect the outriders and to learn to respect the gate crew. I spent weeks and weeks with the gate crew, sitting in there and watching and talking and getting familiar. And I'm not saying I wouldn't have respected them, but working beside everybody, the clerk of scales for a week and doing everything, valets. I even was with valets for a couple weeks. Everybody is a part of the process. So respect everybody and praise everybody for their contribution to the wins and to the horse's accomplishments.
Yeah.
And just to be an overall better person and horsemanship and love the sport.
Yeah. Well, what about comparing your development and your path to journeyman with the folks that go to jockey school? Like there's one in Puerto Rico that a lot of the guys around Mid-Atlantic went to, Greg McCarron or Chris McCarron has a jockey school, I believe, as well. Is it a very different development when you kind of go to the school of hard knocks like you did as compared to going to like one of these jockey academies?
I don't think so. I've only ever heard phenomenal things about the jockey schools. And I've heard that they put you through that horsemanship too. You have to tack your horse up. You have to untag it, bathe it. You get like assigned a horse and that's the one you care for and everything. And they put you through those rigorous workouts and the mentality you have to get. And I think that is why they're so successful, like Puerto Rico and Panama and stuff, is they teach you the fundamentals that you need to be a real horseman and to know when to do right and how to be one with the horse and respect everybody that's in it. And I mean, the jockey schools, they phenomenal. I almost wish that, I mean, I had my own jockey school, but you wish that you could have gone to something like that to experience everything. Cause I never heard anything but good things about those schools.
Yeah. Well, what about some of your other role models or even people that you may see on simulcasts and like, wow, that person can really ride? Are there other riders that you really like the way they ride?
I mean, I was a really big fan of Garrett Gomez, and I watched him a lot. I really love the way that he rode and stuff. And then I kind of look at everybody. I mean, a big person who helped me a lot as well when I was in Arlington and I was struggling and stuff, and I'm always forever grateful. It was Ty Kennedy. He's rather taller, but he still was able to help me with workouts and positions and stuff that I needed to look better and to ride stronger and moving my irons up and down and all this stuff accordingly. And he would help me in the jock room on the equicizer just to work and work and work and everything. And I mean, there's everywhere I go, I watch all of the bigger riders that are there. I mean, if I'm at Tampa now, I watch Sammy and Pablo, and it's amazing. They're so smart, and the way that they ride is just they're so confident. They could be last at the quarter pole and they win by 5 in the end. I mean, they know when to tip them out, when to stay down, everything. I mean, when it's like I never. I mean, I watch a couple people, but not consistently because I try to take a little bit from everybody. You learn from everybody you talk to, from everybody that you watch and stuff. And I take these little, tidbits. There's a couple riders at Tampa. They were telling me if you're on the rail on the turf, you don't want to be there. You have to get out as soon as you can. It's tough on the rail, on the turf at Tampa, and Danny Centeno from Tampa, he's phenomenal. And I knew him from Delaware too, riding with him. and he knows Tampa's tracks so well, and I just listen to everything he has to say and everything that he does, and he is so smart. He can watch a replay that he's never seen before and tell you exactly when the person's about to get, up on heels or have to check before it happens.
Yeah.
He's like predicts it. And Carol Cedeno, she helped me a lot at Delaware because she's so, she's a female rider and she knows what I'm going through and stuff. And she broke through, she went through what I went through now that I'm a young rider, and she's a phenomenal rider. And she just gave me all of the advice and the tips to just don't ever let anything get you down. You are who you are, and you do what you do, and that you have to be confident, and that'll keep you going and stuff. And just amazing people. Just every racetrack I've ever been to, I've been nothing but inspirational and amazing riders.
Well, you have such a nice way about you. I'm sure people, would love to help and to talk to you. I'm sure you do a lot to inspire them as well. Is your relationship with female riders different than male riders? Like I know, for example, I'm not sure how this is in Delaware, but Laurel, Pimlico, the women have their own jocks room. I guess there's some common areas as well. So you do end up spending a lot of time with them. I'm sure Carol, Forrest, Brittany Scampton, I believe.
Yeah.
Maybe she's in Florida. But anyway, is your relationship different with the female riders than it is with the male riders?
I mean, I don't think so. I've never seen any definite parallel. I know that us women when it comes to us, we are more on our team, and we have our backs more when the guys try to make it too tough. We're like, we got your back, and I see that as a little aspect, but the guys do the same thing. They got their guys' backs, so it's no different than what they do. But in general, we're all happy for each other when somebody wins. You galloping out, all the other jockeys will tell you congratulations, good ride, good job, everything, whether it's a male or female. And it's like we all know, I mean, when the gates open, it is by far you're on your own because everyone's trying to win.
Yeah.
But when the race is over, everybody's happy. When everybody comes home safe, they're happy for who won, and we just go on to the next race. And it's like we're just our own little community, and we only are the only ones who truly understand what we go through with the mental game we have to play and the physical game that we have to play and everything. And so it's like it brings us all together, no matter what track you're at, no matter if you're male or female, a bug rider, a journeyman, we all can relate.
Well, how does intimidation play into it? Like, for example, if you're sitting on the rail and you might not win, but you can still get second or third, you may not let someone through on the inside in the stretch, even though, you may not win it, but, you might not let this person behind you get the rail. But this person might be one of these guys or people that likes to fight a lot or likes to intimidate. How does intimidation play in the jocks room these days? Like in the old days, you heard about fights and stuff all the time. Is that still a thing today?
No, every racetrack I've been at, I haven't really seen anybody fighting. I mean, it's more of it happens to me, it happens to everybody, where you're on a live horse and the person in front of you doesn't want to let you through, doesn't want to let you out, they want to trap you or don't give you the space you need. And that's where I'm saying when the gates open, you're all on your own, and nobody's really going to help you, to give you an advantage, and you can't let it intimidate you. And you have to understand that, and like I do, it's business. I understand. You don't have to let me through. You're not required to let the rail open or to let somebody out or to do anything. I mean, do it with caution to never get anybody hurt. But you also have to do what you have to do the best that you can get for that trainer and owner. And if you're just opening the rail and letting people go through all the time and they're always beating you, it's not going to look good. So yeah, when it happens, people do get heated and they scream and stuff, but I've seen it. It doesn't really happen a lot, and it's only like a moment of frustration because you had a better horse and you just didn't get a chance to get out. But then like I said, when the next race comes, you just forget about it. Like it didn't happen because it's over and there's nothing you can change about it. And there's no reason to continue to fight because the worst thing you ever want to do is to make an enemy out there. We're all supposed to be on each other's team. You're supposed to be happy for other people. And like we all genuinely are. I mean, like you can't change the outcome. So why be upset that somebody else won? I mean, might as well go on with it. So it does cause like an anger, but it's all understanding. I mean, it's business. It's how we make our money. It's how we support our family. You have to do what you have to do to win, even if it means not letting someone else have the opportunity to win. With caution. I always say it with caution because you never want to do anything to get anybody hurt.
Yeah. Well, how much time do you spend on the tactics and reading the form? Now, I noticed, Delaware Park, there are days, maybe a few years ago, I haven't really followed the racing as much recently, but the rail was so dead on the main track, on the dirt track. The riders were all keeping the horses in the 4 and 5 path. I noticed you were doing that as well. Yeah. So how much time do you spend on the tactics, watching for biases, looking for the only speed? Do you spend a lot of time on that?
I do. I try to know the track I'm on. I try to listen to all the riders that are already riding there. I'll ask them like, hey, is this a speed favoring track? How does it play out? What changes it? Tampa changes with the tide. Delaware, it's a very deep track. And like you said, you have to be more off the rail. I mean, you can win up the rail just like any other track, but it more favors when you're in the 2, 3, 4 path. You're out there. And then like Gulfstream, you don't necessarily want to be on the rail here either. And that goes for the Tapeta too. You don't it's I'm not sure exactly why, but the tracks they do just hang a little deeper in the down by the rail. But I try to know and spend time looking at the track and the horse that I'm about to ride. I try to look at like when it ran last time, was it on the rail? Was it outside, like farther out? What was it? Was the track sealed that day and it liked the sealed track? Was it muddy and water was sitting on it and it liked to run through the mud? Was it deep? Did it rain that like today? Like if I'm riding today, I'll be like, oh, it rained. So now the track is going to sit this way. It's hot. So now it's going to sit a different way. And I watch if I'm in the first race, I mean, obviously we're going to be the race who sets the mood up for the rest of the races. But if I'm in a later race, I always watch the races before me to see what's happening. Or is speed holding? Is speed dying and closers are coming? You have to know your track and you have to know how to ride your horse accordingly to it.
Yeah. How have you enjoyed the synthetic at Gulfstream? I believe it's probably your first experience because Delaware and Tampa are traditional dirt and turf. Have you enjoyed this synthetic?
Actually, it's not my first time on the Tapeta. I actually spent 2 years riding at Arlington in the
Oh,
summers.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, but that was a very different poly track than this one is. This one is great. I mean, it's fast, which is supposed to be because it's synthetic, it's man-made. It doesn't get altered by the weather when it rains or when it gets a little slower when it's hot because it starts to stick a little. But I mean, but actually this one doesn't even do that now because it's a different material than Arlington. Arlington would get slower when it got hot because it would clump more. But this one, I love riding on this Tapeta track. It's like it doesn't kick back a lot. You stay clean, so you don't have to change as many clothes when you're riding on it. If you know how to ride it, and I've gotten some really good tips on how to ride it, you know exactly where to move and how to move on it. And it plays that same way almost every time. And I mean, it might not be the best for bettors. I know they were complaining about that because it's a little like predictable in a way,
Mhm.
but it's fantastic. I love riding on the poly
Well, how about
more
turf
than
and dirt? Do you have a preference for either surface or just depends
um
on the horse in the race?
when it surprisingly when it comes to turf and dirt, I actually like the dirt more than the turf. I like the more, okay, I love turf bred horses, and turf breeding is my favorite. And I love the turf bred horses and the stallions and the races and everything. I love watching that. But when it comes to the dirt, I think it keeps it more interesting because you never know how the surface is going to be. It's more of an opportunity for other horses to win than just the favorite. Because like I said, it changes so much, you know? The turf, it really is either only dry or yielding. Because if it's anything more than that, we're not on it.
Yeah.
You know? And the dirt, it can be sloppy, it can be fast, it can be slow, it can be sealed, it can be anything. You have more opportunity to just surprise people when you're on the dirt.
Yeah. Well, one thing about a rider, I would think you'd have crises of confidence in that, you can lose on a favorite. You might be cold for a few weeks. You haven't won. You might get hurt, and you feel like you're getting behind other jockeys are riding your horses. I would think it'd be always a challenge and imperative to keep your confidence up. Like no matter what happens, the next one I'm going to get it home. How does confidence play? What role does confidence play in a jockey?
I believe that confidence is everything for a jockey. You have got to be confident. And my agent, he always tells me this. And I mean, I believe this anyway, because I always ride my races this way. Confident. You have to believe that you're on the best horse. And you have to believe that you have the best opportunity to win. And you go out there and ride as if you're the favorite and you're going to win. And even when you do that and you don't win, you can never go wrong. Your confidence is everything. Because I've seen horses that people don't ride them with confidence. They don't run well. They don't run well. They don't run well. And then been able to ride them, and I ride them with just an ounce of confidence. And we run well. We win. We run second. We run third. Anything. Because horses, and it's so funny because I always say this, and I know it sounds dumb, but it's just like Avatar when they connect with the horses. So that way the horses like feel what they feel and they get that genuine connection. It's just like that with real horses. If you're confident, you can feel the horse be fearless. If you're scared, the horse, it's trying to figure out what we're scared of. It doesn't know what's going on.
Yeah.
It's like they just feed off your energy. And I've noticed that every time that I go in the gate and I just think like, I'm on the best horse, I'm going to have fun, we're going to have the best ride, it's the best outcome.
Yeah. Well, that's great advice for anything in life, I would think, especially sports. You talked a little bit about, handling yourself with professionalism. Ronnie Houghton taught you that, and I'm sure your mother did as well. One thing a jockey has to do is they have to watch what they say. And I owned horses for many years. And it's funny because I was more in the trenches than most owners. I kind of understood the game, but I realized when jockeys would come after the race, they knew I was the owner. They wouldn't tell necessarily the truth to the trainer if I'm sitting there because, sometimes the trainer wouldn't really want them to do that. It's a game where news has to be delivered delicately and just right sometimes.
Yeah.
Your personality, very upbeat, got a great personality, great smile. How have you dealt with, kind of the subtleties of the game and the social element of the game?
Well, I'm always trying to be as honest as I can be with when I have confidence in what I'm saying. I never say any feedback without 100% knowing that that's what is the case, because you have to know what you're saying. And when you present to an owner and you tell them, I think the horse needs blinkers, I think the horse needs a shadow roll, I think the horse needs a tongue tie, it has to be visible that is what is needed, because when you do that and when you speak with confidence, that is with certainty what will help the horse, and then they make the change and they feel that confidence from you and they make the change and the outcome is better than it was before. You've built that trust that they know that when they put you on a horse that You know what's underneath you. And if I don't, if I don't speak with that confidence and to know only when to speak when it is absolutely necessary, don't just go up and make an excuse. If you don't have a reason, just admit it. I just try to be honest. Like, it wasn't my day. It wasn't the horse's day. We just got unlucky. It's horse racing. And that's not gonna go perfect every race for every horse.
Yeah.
Sometimes no matter what you do, the horse just woke up and didn't have it in it. So if that's the case, that's what you need to say. Like, we're gonna be, I just be like confident for next time. I'm like, we're gonna be great next time because of this, because of that. Try to point out the best parts.
Yeah.
If it's nothing that needs to be changed as far as like needing a tongue tie or a shadow roll or blinkers or anything like that, then I keep it to myself because I know where I went wrong or where I'm like, I remember at this spot the horse did this. So when I ride him next time, I know that he might do that again. So I'm gonna be prepared. Like, I rode the horse this time and he broke to the left. I'm gonna break with my stick in the left hand next time. So I won't even have to mention that to the trainer because it's knowing when to speak and when not to speak.
Yeah. Well, one thing that again, I think that's tremendous advice. One thing I didn't care for is when a jockey, and jockeys make mistakes, but I'm a very loyal person. Like I rode Forrest, Walter Yagas, Grant Whitaker. Once they were my guys, I rode them all the time. I'm a big believer in that. But one thing I didn't like is when the jockey made a mistake and they didn't really admit it, or they tried to act like the horse wasn't ready. And a lot of times we knew the horse was ready, but jockeys make mistakes. And generally, I would not take a jockey off a horse because I believe in people and I'm a loyal person. So they didn't really need to blame the horse or whatever. They probably could have just said, I kind of screwed up. That was my bad. Do you ever admit when you make mistakes to the trainer or owner?
Yeah, I do. That's what I'm saying. Like, I won't make an excuse I will not come up with an excuse or try to pull something out to make it seem like it was somehow the horse's fault. If I'm at fault, it's better to just admit it because one, it's on TV. Everybody can see it. That owner, that trainer can go back and watch it 1,000 times, slow mo it, take it frame by frame, and see exactly where you messed up anyway. You're not gonna get away with it. It's better to be honest and they see that you know where you messed up, and they'll be confident that you know not to do that again.
Yeah.
Because they're like, you tell them, man, I went too wide. I should have done this. They'll be like, okay, well, you know where you went wrong, and you're not gonna do that again. And then they'll more than likely be like, okay, like, next time we got it, you're not gonna do that again, right? And then you don't do it again, or you change this, or you change that, and it usually works out. It's better when you're confident in yourself, able to admit your mistakes and fix them, and watch your replay, watch where you went wrong, and know that you're not going to do that again. So that way, when you come back out, you get a better result. And it just seems like the vibe, like not the vibes, but like it's like karma. It comes back around. When you're able to do that and you ride the horse next time, you usually win or second or third or anything, a better outcome.
Yeah. Well, look, I think you're a terrific rider. You do a great job. I've always liked when you're riding the horses that I want to wager on. But you're going to nursing school, which I think is really smart. It's good to have. You can't ride 40 years unless you're what's the guy's name in Ohio? I can't. Perry
Oates. Yeah.
Hoots, whatever his name is. But see, there's going to be another career, maybe a trainer like your mother. If you go to nursing school,
Yeah.
maybe veterinarian school one day or something. But what are some of your future goals in the game and maybe even outside the game?
My goals right now are I would like it soon. I would like to hit the 100 wins mark, and that's just like a close goal, a short-term goal. Long term, I would like to ride. I would like to ride for as long as I feel confident to, until I'm ready to say, I've accomplished enough. I've won enough. I've proven enough. I think I'm okay. I'm proud of what I did. And I do feel like I will be a trainer at some point. I just being around the horses so much and learning so much, and I every barn I go into, I just like, pay attention. I have horsemanship. I love the sport. I would never want to be fully out of it. So I feel like in the future, a trainer or an owner is definitely on the cards. And I want to get my nursing degree so that way when I'm ready to settle down and have a family, I know that if anything happens to this sport, I will be able to continue and not struggle, to worry that if tomorrow we stop horse racing, I wouldn't have a way to pay my bills or support anything, you know? So it's like I do love taking care of people, and I'm a very people person, and I'm very empathetic, which is why I wanted to be a nurse, to be with those people when they're in those situations, because I know they need somebody, and love to be that person for people. So it's definitely not going to be something I get and just forget about. But I'm just, I'm young still, and I'm taking it every day at a time and just enjoying it every second I can.
Mm.
And I'm just riding with the vibes, seeing where it goes.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned having a family. What about those riders like Carol who have kids and come right back and keep riding? Would you be a rider that have kids and still want to ride, or you think at that point maybe you do something else?
I would still ride. They would definitely take a little bit of a break when I had a kid, just to, be able to value those years when they're young, because that's where you make the most memories and stuff. And then I would come back to riding. But I mean, it's it's not that a family would stop me from riding, but I want to make sure that if I'm riding when I do have a family, that I'm riding where I'm able to support. It's all about that able to give the best life for them that I can, and be able to not worry that because I didn't ride for 2 weeks, now I cannot take care of them, It's
Yeah.
like I would come back if I had it all going for me.
Yeah. Well, last question, Skyler, and it's been great
Yeah,
talking to you, meeting you. What if your daughter
yeah.
came up to you and said, "Mom, I want to be a rider also"? What advice would you give to her?
I would tell her exactly how it is. It's not easy, and if you're gonna do it, you have to do it with 110%, and you have to do it with no fear. Because if you have any fear or any ounce of doubt, it's gonna make it that much harder, and it might deter you from continuing. If you're gonna do it and you love it, go for it. Don't let anything stop you. Because like when I was going for it, I loved it. I didn't care. Everyone's always telling me it's so dangerous, it's this and that. But if you love it, you're gonna do it anyway. And I would never deter her from not trying, because it is an amazing experience to have, and it's an incredible thing to say that you have done, that you have tried and everything. But if you do it, it's the one of those things that is so dangerous and has so many risks behind it, that you have got to do it with confidence and bravery. Otherwise, you can't do it at all.
Yeah. Well, that's great advice. I mean, you're full of sage advice for someone so young. Uh, so
I've been
yeah,
through a lot.
yeah, you should write a book, or just at least have a blog or even a podcast. But uh, anyway, look, I really enjoyed meeting you. Like I said, I think you're a very talented writer. I think you're going to go
Thank you.
far. I hope you continue to get the opportunities that you're getting, because I think you do a super job, and got a great attitude. So it's
Thank
it's
you.
fun to see good people win. So, but
Oh, I
anyway, look,
appreciate it so much.
what's that?
I said I appreciate it so much for everything.
Oh, of course. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, look, again, I appreciate you coming on and talking to me. I've been wanting to do this for a long time, as you know. So I'm glad you finally healthy. You're healthy and you're riding well, and hopefully you have a tremendous winter season in Tampa as well.
Thank you very much for having me on the show and getting to know me and everything. It's been wonderful.
Yeah, it's been great. Let's keep in touch.
Of course, of course.
Okay, Skylar. Well, look, have a good evening. And are you riding? Are you riding tomorrow?
I am. I ride 3.
Oh, awesome. Well, get lucky tomorrow. I'll definitely be cheering you on.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
You're welcome, Skyler. Take care. Have a good night.
You too.